this week on All About Sports, the podcast.
Today we're going to talk about some tennis. What do you think the French Open or the clay does?
You never know who's going to win.
On point.
Serena, she gets a lot of shit. I think the governing body should be more supportive of the players. Yeah, it's sad, man. I don't like your question. You're not allowed in my press conferences anymore.
Or then you just do respect, and walk out.
Of course, he has won because Rafa Nadal has lost,
He gassed, man.
which is crazy.
If you aren't fit, then don't play, right?
Okay, I didn't think it was that obvious. This is not for points, this is just for fun. Alright,
Anyway,
so
it doesn't
first
matter
question.
that Krishnan's not there because he doesn't score points regardless.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of All About Sports, the podcast. I'm Aniket, and I have with me my co-hosts Mazhar and Shubham. And today we're going to talk about some tennis. It's been a while, so I hope we're all on point about this because the French Open just got done. We are on the cusp of Wimbledon, even the Olympics, and there's going to be a lot of tennis in the upcoming months. Just to cap things, Novak won another French Open. All right, he beat the King of Clay in the semis. Pretty convincing, in if you ask me. But what are your thoughts on the general 2 weeks of the Roland Garros? Did you like it? Did you not like it? It delivered the upsets it always does. So, what are your thoughts on that, Shubham? You want to go first?
Yo, so what I think is, like obviously the best match was Djokovic versus Nadal. It was a really good game. Wasn't it like in the first set? I think Nadal was leading 5-0, and then after that, after 5 love,
Yeah.
then Djokovic made a comeback, and that just shows Djokovic's mental strength. Even like in the final against Tsitsipas, being 2 sets down and then coming back and winning. I think he's one player. Like even if you're 2 sets down, match point, you always know that Djokovic can make a comeback. So, like total credit to Djokovic for winning it. But also there was like a lot of controversy, even in terms of Federer withdrawing from the competition. I think in round of 16 or something like that. Even with Naomi, again a lot of controversy surrounding her as well. So yeah, it was a great tournament. It was nice that the fans were also allowed in a certain number. Djokovic becoming, I think, the first athlete to win two Grand Slams, like of each, of all the Grand Slams, winning them twice each. So creating a record, closing down on Federer and Nadal's 20 Grand Slam tally. So yeah, man, it was quite an eventful Grand Slam.
Eventful indeed. That match which you just spoke about, I thought it was going to be a repeat show of last year's final. Which was probably the most disappointing final for any Novak fan out there. But he did what he does best. He's bounced back maybe a year later, but he has in true fashion. Mazhar, your thoughts?
It was kind of heartbreaking, Roland Garros. Not because Rafa lost, more so because of how he lost. Like Shubham said, he started off so strong where it looked like, okay, this is going to be 3 sets and it's all over. This is back to square one with Rafa. He gassed, man, and that's what's worrying to see. I guess age is catching up with Rafa. I hate to say
How old
it,
is he
but,
now?
uh,
35, 36?
yeah, I think he's 35, but more than the age, Shubham, I think his game has always been so focused on physicality, and that's what probably
And his
has
history of injuries, yeah, I think
yeah
that's messed it up.
yeah. So
He's 35.
yeah,
He's
35.
35.
So I mean, it's incredible how these three guys just without fail beat everyone and make it to the semis at least. Literally, the only worst enemy is themselves more often than not, or then they lose to each other, which is fair. So, but the final was still high quality, even though Rafa gassed. It was still amazing tennis being played by both of them, and it was so nice to see like top quality tennis after so long as well. Coming to, I think Shubham pretty much covered everything. He didn't leave much. I'll just say that Osaka's thing is super controversial and super like sad, but I'm sure we'll get into that going forward. Overall, the Roland Garros was a good open. We saw some top tennis from not only Tsitsipas, even I thought even Diego Schwartzman was great. Yeah, some great players to watch out for. Wawrinka may be back for Wimbledon, so that'll be fun. Needed some fire, some more fire, and someone who's again super consistent when it comes to Grand Slam tennis. So looking forward to Wimbledon in which is very soon before we know it will start also. So yeah.
Yo, Gui, before you jump in, I was just thinking right now. So when you look at Nadal and Djokovic, both of these athletes, their game is like high endurance because they cover the court all breadth to breadth, length to length, a lot of physicality involved, and both of them are extremely good defensive players. Like if you look at Nadal, even when he started off in his career, very good defensive players. He's someone who stands way behind the baseline, like probably the furthest behind the baseline as compared to other athletes, other pro tennis players, and even Djokovic for that matter. And then Nadal's career, he had many injuries and then setbacks, and he came back. But maybe like how Mazhar mentioned, like he's now getting tired. He has all these injuries. He withdrew from Olympics and Wimbledon. Do you guys think Djokovic hasn't had too many injuries? Do you think if Djokovic like starts piling on injuries because of the way they play, it could potentially be like Djokovic wouldn't be that dominating anymore?
So I just think he has a year on Nadal, who has 4 years on Federer. So he's the youngest, and in spite of
And
how
he
he
and
has
he's
been
largely
playing,
been injury free, like
yeah,
Federer
yeah, which was also Federer's career, up to 34, 35. Let's be honest, he didn't
Yeah,
have. I mean, until it really hit him where he needed on-court treatment very often, like in 2012, 13, which is what I think he was 32, 33 back then also. So I think once it begins, then it's a rolling thing because to rehabilitate and be back in the same fashion you were in your prime is not happening. But this guy somehow managed to be fit for, I mean, the entire stretch, right? I don't remember him having a 1 year injury layoff, 2 year injury layoff like these guys have already had. So Nadal, let's be honest, he started off his career with injury issues. Like we knew very early on that he had a bad hip, then it became a bad knee, bad ankle, and he's fought through that consistently. This guy never showed any of those issues. Um, very much like Roger, but I don't think even if he develops injuries, he has cemented his place as, I mean, a modern day great. There's nobody will be able to take it from him because he's competed with two of the best. Most of the times, people have counted him out because everyone's had their favorite set for a very long time. But he just fought so hard, and I don't think even with one or two injuries, he's so far ahead. Like to be honest, Roger and Rafa also with the injuries, they managed to do semis and quarters without any. And these guys are probably less physical than Novak. They've had just in general, their physical prowess has been not at the
I
same
think
level as
Roger would
this
be the
guy.
least. Roger would be the
Yeah,
least.
100%.
Nadal and Djoko are pretty close by. Both of them are super
Yeah.
like physical.
I mean, I don't think it's going to take away much from him because his shot making is great. He's a great hardcore player also, right? So it's just angles on the hardcore. Maybe even with the endurance part of it off, I think Novak will still remain in the top three bracket without doubt. What
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
think, Maz? I think endurance as big a part of his game as it is. I think his shot making is especially on hard court because he's the most successful on the hard court. If you take a pick of the three, I think his shot making would just win him a lot more.
I think see, look at Rafa, right? I think it's the perfect example. You look at it, Rafa, so many injuries, still has the tied most slams ever we're talking about. So I I don't see how that would hamper Djokovic because his mental strength is immense. It's in fact I would say it's if you had to even give it like some sort of measure, then you would have to say that it's probably even more than Rafa's, and that says a lot about a person's uh, ability to endure certain things. So maybe he has niggles, maybe he has certain things. I've seen him early on in his career. He used to have problems with his calves and his thighs and all of that. Obviously, he's built up his fitness, he's built up his endurance, like Gui said. No chance, yeah. He's gonna hands down, he's gonna finish with the most Grand Slams. I'm telling you now only. He's gonna. And I don't think he's just going to finish with more slams. I think he's going to run away with it in the next 2 years, 3 years. I don't see anyone standing a chance unless we find the next Novak or the next Rafa or the next Federer. No chance. I think we've been fortunate enough to have witnessed all these three at their absolute best, having the matches of the greatest matches we've ever seen in tennis, and we've
Easy.
watched it live. And we've watched it live. So we've been fortunate enough to have also Ronaldo Messi. So let's enjoy it while it lasts. Let's hope, fingers crossed, that he doesn't get injured and keep. I'm okay with him beating the record. The records are meant to be broken, right? So go for
So
it, Novak.
since you've already broached the subject, okay, this was one of the questions which I wanted to ask, right? So I think we can all rule out Fed having, like, retiring with the most titles. And for as much as I would like for it to happen, I really doubt it would. But between Novak and Rafa, also, I think there's still you know s- such a big gap in terms of the fitness right now, because Nadal's had like a year off on injury, like, when him and Fed had that 1.5 year off at the same time, and I think Nolan just not had that, and of course that he used that to catch up very well. And I think Mother put it very well. He might just run away with it because he has a year on Nadal, who's shown so much. Like, his injury problems have been so mega. Unless something goes like awfully wrong, I do think that Djokovic is going to come out with the most like Grand Slam titles for sure. Malu, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, like you rightly mentioned, when both these guys were injured, it was just no, Djokovic winning everything. So out there, he covered a lot of ground. And now, like, how long will Federer last? Yeah, people say that this might be his last ever Grand Slam. So Federer's out of the picture. Nadal also massive fitness issues. There's no one really out there who can compete with Novak currently. So I feel this year only he'll probably tie 20 Grand Slams, and certainly there's no doubt about the fact that he will end his career with the most Grand Slams for sure.
I think we all are aligned on on this
Yeah,
rare
because think about
occasions
that, he's the
where
youngest. He's the youngest. He is physically super fit as compared to the other two, and there's other than these other two, there's no one who can really compete against him or challenge him as of now. So then, it's basically
yeah, I
his
think
title to lose,
a
right?
consistent challenge a consistent challenge is what is lacking in the current crop of the men's circuit. But sticking to the Roland Garros, like, I mean, it did what it does every season, right? Throwing upsets in round one, two, three, four, all the all the way. Okay, to sum it up, Thiem got knocked out in round one. I think he's had what, two or three finals. Actually, I'm sure he has had two appearances in the finals. Androscu got knocked out in round one. Angelique Kerber got knocked out in round one. Serena got knocked out in round four. Last season's champion Iga Swiatek got knocked out in the quarterfinals. What do you think it is about clay that it always produces this? Like, if I think of any player who's had like mediocre success, okay, I mean, winning a Grand Slam is immense, but now I'm talking about Grand Slam winners. So if you had like three or under number of Grand Slams, I'm sure you won a French Open. I can almost bet that you won a French Open. What do you think the French Open or the clay does to support this? Like, a different winner every season, other than the okay men's circuit. I'm sorry, said that there is a different winner every year. There isn't, but at least in the women's circuit, you see so many. But upsets is what I mean. You see a lot of non-favorites make it far.
We discussed this, didn't we, when we discussed our entire men's tennis as compared to women's
Uh-huh.
tennis in today's day and age. Historically, the French Open has always been like that, and this comes down to clay court specialists. And that's what we're seeing proof of. Rafa dominating. Before that, also, it was Bjorn Borg who dominated. Women's tennis, Justine Henna had her time. There's always been a time when someone's dominated clay. Otherwise, it's always been a different winner because it's just that type of a court. No one's accustomed to it. No one's used to it. Most of the people play their tennis on hard court, so that's why it's, I guess, that's when you really find out who has that upper hand or has that level. The ball bounces at almost head height. So imagine how hard it is to play. You're basically trying to play a serve on every shot. It's scary when you think about how hard it is. I mean, us playing on hard courts and the ball goes so high, we understand how hard it is to hit. I can't even imagine when it's so slow because you get so frustrated, right? When it's at that height to hit the ball. So having that ultimate patience, I guess, is not everyone's cup of tea. And that's why I think that's what's there about Roland Garros, and that's what makes it special. You never know who's going to win, and you can never count out anyone unless you are Rafa Nadal. Let's just add that.
I just feel with the French Open, winning the French Open for for a tennis player, it's 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 a lot about your endurance and your conditioning, because the court is slower, and that's the reason why Nadal has been super dominant, right, for many years now. That now Djokovic is started competing is because when he came onto the circuit, he was one of the most like physically active players. Yeah, the way he could cover the court, pick up points, and like pick up the ball at places where other athletes wouldn't. So I just feel French Open, you have to have that level of conditioning, patience, like Mazhar rightly mentioned, and just sheer endurance and like being able to sustain those five set of matches where the ball is slow and you have to hit the ball harder to make those angles to hit winning shots. So yeah, I just think for the French Open, your preparation has to be very different, which other athletes might not prepare for it well enough because everyone plays on hard court generally. So yeah, that's why I feel every year, there are new champions.
I mean, that's a pretty fair point. Like the courts being slower, I think factor in so much more. You've seen like some specialists even in the women's circuit, like Halep who has great court coverage, Radwanska who had great court coverage. I mean, these guys, they played the best tennis on clay. Coming to probably the best, okay, I say second best because I really like the finals this season. Sorry, this Open, but we have to talk about the biggest game in terms of garnering views. Djokovic versus Nadal was a thriller, all right. But Mazhar mentioned he got gassed. Okay, going from 5-love up in the first to then, I mean, losing three sets on the trot, something you don't really see from Rafa Nadal. So, what do you think it was like? I mean, do you think he had an injury because he's withdrawn from the Wimbledon as well? Um, do you think he already had some niggling issues? Because up until that match, I didn't think he was, put under as much stress during the Open. But I mean, you could attribute that to him being the greatest clay court player ever. What do you think? Do you think he had something like some sort of an injury? Because immediately post the French Open, he mentioned that he's not going to play the Wimbledon. Uh, that announcement came damn quick. Uh, I almost suspect that there was something which was not mentioned. Your thoughts?
It could be an injury potentially. It definitely could, because Nadal is not the sort of a player who would back out from a Grand Slam. Because he's also like a sheer champion and a sheer winner. He has that winner mentality. So even if he's super injured, like even if he's injured, he would push himself. But the fact that he's backing out from the Olympics also, it could definitely be related to injury issues. And then maybe he wants to come back to the US Open or something like that. So I personally think it could be an injury. But nothing, even if he was injured, still credits to Djokovic for the way he's played. So not taking anything away from Djokovic's performance. But yeah, if Nadal is backing out from future tournaments in the near future, it could be because of injury.
Yeah, I guess, like Shubham said, he's not a guy who will back out from tournaments. So even if something was niggling him, he'll never openly say it because he's not one of those who will make an excuse. And he won't want to take away that credit from Novak or anyone for that matter for how they performed, because it's just it's like a low blow, right? To say that, come back and then say, oh, I was injured or I had some trouble or some niggles. He's not a whiner like that. So uh, I don't know, but he's never been 100% fit. Let's face that fact also. We never really know when Nadal is 100% fit. The For me, the he looked tired more than anything. He genuinely looked exhausted. It could have been the quarantine structure. It could have been the bubble. Mental exhaustion must have happened for him also. Having the weight to win a 10th Grand Slam title. Could be lots of factors, honestly. I'm sure he wasn't 100% fit. That's a given. But I wouldn't want to say that that was the reason he lost. You have to give Novak credit where it's due. Novak was amazing, man.
So I mean, I saw him rely more on shot making than on his endurance, which kind of like surprised me a lot. But anyway, I think coming back to another big talking point about this season's French Open and just the tennis circuit right now is Osaka dropped out of the Open citing mental health reasons. She didn't want to do the press conferences. I think she kind of got bullied in after it, because to say that you have to do press conferences to one of probably the foremost competitors on the women's tour, and to get treated that way, well, the French Open has done it in the past with Serena also. uh, but what do you think about that? Like, I think finally athletes are recognizing that mental health plays as much a part as your physical health in terms of keeping a mentality going and keeping you sane while you try to perform under the bright lights, under the most pressure you ever felt in your life. I think it was a reasonable request. Okay, it wasn't a request. I think it was reasonable for her to say that I want to have like fewer or maybe avoid press duties for this slam. What do you think about how it was dealt with? I mean, no discussion. You have to do it. I think it's kind of harsh. I don't think you do it under normal scenario, but because she is such a big player, I think they just wanted her to do all her press duties, all the obligations, because a lot of people would be there for her, right? So
I just think when it comes to press duties, I understand there's a commercial interest for the slam involved. So I do agree that like the players should do their duties, but at the same time, when a player makes a request or whatever, if a player is really feeling, let it be mental illness or physical exhaustion, if a player is not comfortable to do it at that point in time, I think the slams or whatever the governing bodies, they have to take that into perspective, because it's not just across like in tennis. Even if you see in other sports, a lot of these players, they just become puppets for the commercial aspects of the sport in general, for the slams or for the governing bodies. And fair enough, yeah, it is a money making game, so you have to make money also. But when people have genuine issues, I think the governing body should be more supportive of the players. In Naomi's case, with whatever it could be, mental health issues, whatever she's going through, it's hard, yeah. And just to like force someone and tell them that no, listen, you have to do it, or you'll be fine, or you won't be allowed to play, or whatever. That's just not fair. I don't think that's fair. And yeah, whatever the controversy could have been, I would totally support Naomi for a decision, because your health comes first. And at the end of the day, she's a player. Her responsibility is to go on the court, perform. Press duties and all of that is secondary. And if the governing bodies can't support her in that, I think it's a shame.
Absolutely. I think Shubham, you covered everything. Just wanted to add two things here. You mentioned all sports. It's true. Uh, we'll use basketball as an example. So Kyrie Irving didn't want to talk to the press, but that's a different issue altogether. That was his mutiny and like his way of saying, "Oh, I'm getting back at whatever." You guys quote me for stuff I don't say and all that nonsense. So media also makes it worse in a lot of ways. I'm not talking for Kyrie or that, because that was a different incident altogether. But the point is that the media manipulates a lot of things as well. So if a player is not up for talking to them, it's media can just make it worse as well. So it's not only about that, it's the pressure that the media puts with the types of questions they ask, all of that. So if someone anyway is not in a mental state, then going through that just could make it worse and aggravate things, that and that
Unless you're
anxiety
so
that they
Alex
might have.
Ferguson and you can just ban the BBC.
Yeah, I mean, then you need to be knighted or something, or just have massive connections like Sir Alex. But
I don't like your question. You're not allowed in the press conferences anymore.
yeah, I mean, or then you just do respect, and walk out. But literally, no. But coming back to the point, you don't want to see another Rob NK incident where someone commits suicide, right? You don't want to see. For those who don't know, Rob NK was at one point in time Germany's number one goalkeeper. So you don't want, and you don't want a player doing anything that can harm their that puts their life at risk. So show basic empathy, talk it out, have an open dialogue with the player, try to see where they are coming from, tell limit their press conferences like you said, Gui. There's always a workaround and a solution. You can't do this, and especially not with if someone's openly coming and saying that I'm mentally not in a state to do press conferences, understand what they might be going through. They aren't gaining anything by not doing press conferences. She's Naomi Osaka. She doesn't need publicity. She doesn't need to pull off a publicity stunt to show anything or to gain anything from it. She's literally one of the best players in the world in tennis. So
No,
uh,
this makes
yeah.
me like I'm just getting a thought in my head. Okay, Naomi did this. She got a lot of backlash and blah blah blah. If a Federer or a Nadal does something like this, do you think they'll get preferential treatment? Do you think they'll be treated differently? Maybe the governing bodies would be lenient with them.
Yeah,
I feel it. I feel it could happen. I
hundred
feel it could
percent.
happen.
We've seen it in again, Shubham. Sorry for bringing up these examples, but the NBA, LeBron James was given a waiver from that COVID rule. He broke COVID protocol. He attended some party with Drake and some other people and it was some tequila party. So he was sponsoring his tequila brand. He got the waiver. He got to play. The same thing happened with Kristaps Porzingis, another player. He's not an all-star or anything, or a superstar for that matter. He had to go through that COVID protocol and he couldn't play. It happened to Lou Williams also before that. Last year, in when he broke COVID protocols, he couldn't play a few games in the playoffs at the most important juncture of the NBA season. So there's definitely preferential treatment. And even if Rafa and Fed wouldn't ask for it, they would still get it because they're just too big for the game.
They're too big
If
for
I
the
can,
sport,
yeah,
perhaps.
probably. And Osaka still not reached that level. But again, Serena's gone through it like Gui said as well. And we're talking about the greatest women tennis player of all time, potentially, arguably. So I'm not sure. Maybe as sexist as it may be, it's probably true. It is a misogynistic thing as well, which
I,
is
I also
sad.
I also that the men like the great men tennis players like in our generation you have these three, but specifically for Nadal and Federer, uh, I think the governing bodies are more lenient as compared to the female great players. Like Serena, she gets a lot of shit. But the same thing is not for Federer and Nadal. Like in fact, right now when Federer withdrew from the competition, there was a little bit of social media controversy that if something like this would be done by another tennis player or another female tennis player. So I just personally feel that there is preferential treatment. Like when Federer he backed out of the fourth round, withdrew after the fourth round. There was a lot of social media controversy, and one topic that came up which I found very interesting was had this been another tennis player or another female tennis player or even men tennis player for that matter, would they have like would it be cool for them to consider a grand slam to be a practice tournament and they can just back out when they want? If you aren't fit, then don't play, right? Because you play, probably you're taking up another player's slot, potentially a wild card entry or anyone like that. And then you just treat the tournament as like a practice tournament and then you withdraw because you aren't fit. If you aren't fit, don't play. And had it been someone else, I think they could have, I don't know, probably faced harsher punishments. So yeah, I definitely think there is preferential treatment, and yeah, it's sad, man.
And I think with that we've covered all the heavy stuff which was surrounding the tennis circuit for the last 1 or 2 weeks, because there was some, and tennis has generally been like very clean over the last decade, barring a few incidents. But this is a thing in tennis. You'll always have a controversy each year about something. Novak shouting at someone, Serena shouting at someone, something of the sort. But anyway, now I'll just move on to asking some general questions about the Roland Garros, alright? Because
Yo,
why not? Let's have a fun quiz. This is not for points, this is just for fun. Alright,
Anyway, it
so
doesn't
first
matter
question.
that Krishnan's not there because he doesn't score points regardless.
Sorry, Krishna, this is Mazal dig at you. I don't know why he's done this, but he's done it. Alright, question number one. So Federer has won his only French Open in 2009. Who did he beat in the finals?
Soderling, Robin Soderling.
Wow,
Yes.
wow. No
Manu with
matter,
the
doesn't
quick.
matter only.
Okay, so of course he has won because Rafa Nadal has lost in that in that slam. All right,
Yeah.
who did Rafa Nadal lose to?
Robin Soderling.
Certainly. Exactly.
Okay, I didn't think it was that obvious. It's not a good guess unless you know, you know. I mean, if you know, you know. Otherwise,
No,
I don't think
I
it's
think
like an
see, I think if you're a
obvious guess.
Federer fan and considering that that's his only Grand Slam he's ever won, I think you know that like who he won against, right?
At that way, you should be remembering from the first round to the final then. Who did he beat?
That's too much. That's asking for too much.
All right. So Nadal has the most impeccable record at the French Open, but can you tell me his win-loss record? Number of wins to number of losses.
Roland Garros win loss record.
Yes. This is you can guess this if you know how he
Two
ended his
losses,
12.
two losses, and 103 wins.
He was
Okay.
98 and 2, and then this season, so three losses now. It's three losses, and how many wins is it? First round.
104 wins.
No, I think 105 3.
Very good. That is it. It's 105-3. And I think he ended the 12th one with a 100-2 record. Then,
Yeah,
yeah, 100
yeah.
to 2 and one, four
No, he
rounds and
ended
quarters.
98 2 if I'm not wrong. Wasn't it?
102. It's
Anyway, I
100
got
to
it
2
right.
because round 4, round 1, 2, 3, 4, and the quarters this year, and then losing the semis. That's also 105-3, which is crazy. How do you lose only 3 times at a Grand Slam? Only thrice.
How do you win 100 games in a Grand Slam also? These guys are ridiculous, man. All these three. Federer, Rafa, and Novak. Ridiculous. It's a joke.
Okay, I've already mentioned that French Open is Roger's least favorite, but and his record is not great, right? But how many finals has he reached? You'd be surprised.
Four.
Four.
Wow, both of y'all are on point with 4. That's amazing. I didn't think of 4 when I first thought of this. That is not my go-to. I was more like 2, maybe 3 at best. But he's at 4, and that's immense, guys. That is quick. All right. Now, only 2 women have won 3 consecutive French Opens. Name anyone.
I would go one with Serena for sure, and the other one I would go with who was the chick? Anna Ivanovic.
No, but 3 consecutive French Opens. Huh?
3 consecutive French Opens. Okay, one is Serena, and the other one
Mazhar already disapproves Malu. You have
Lina,
time to
Lina,
change your answer.
Lina.
Lina won two, if I'm not wrong.
2.
Lina, yeah, so.
Hey, there was this one player. Her surname started with D. Yeah, she was like a little stout. Um,
Are you talking about Safina? Dinara Safina?
Lindsay
Or Lindsay
Davenport.
Davenport?
yeah, one of them. If any of them have won, then I'm talking about that person.
It's none of them for sure either. I know it's Justine Henna won back to back to back, and before
Hey, who is Agassi's wife?
Steffi Graf.
Steffi Graf.
Yeah, I think she must have won.
She's won it 6 times, but never 3 in a row. So it was Monica Seles. She won
Seles, okay.
three back to back. Only
And-
two women.
And wasn't it Justine Henna?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
Right.
I think that concludes our episode for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what you saw or you heard, all our channel links will be in the description below. If you have any suggestions for us, do let us know. And until next time.